Well, I think it's finally time to give back to the community and to those in previous chapters who are maybe starting anew or who have been in the journey but are currently dealing with a lot and need some transparency, motivation, whatever it may be. This channel in this video isn't meant for those who are not open-minded. If you don't believe in just looking at life through different modalities and mindsets and allowing yourself to have different perspective shifts, just get off the video. We'll start that off with that. I'm not intending here to say that my way is the only way. I'm just going to be expressing things from my own experience. So if that is what you are open to, then let's start. All right. So the main premise of this, and the reason why I'm even starting with this video, is that objectively I've accomplished everything that I set out to do 2 years ago. I've been within the entrepreneurial space for quite some time now, since I was 17 years old. I'm now 26, so it's taken quite a lot of time to get to here, but we'll talk about that later. Within this space in particular, I've been in it for 2 years with this bolt per se in terms of industry, and it's been a pretty wild one. I'll make this video quite compact and I'll just take away from all the main components and learning lessons that I took from the last 2 years. There'll be a more specific video that I'll set out to make, something that will go into more detail, but excuse me, just had a lot of coffee. I thought, why not make a video now? I seem to be in the perfect space to do so, and currently traveling, so I'm not sure when the next time I'll have to sit this tripod down and chat with y'all. Anyways, currently in Rome, currently on a penthouse balcony. It's really cool. There's a really nice garden here that's quite big, and although I don't have my microphone, I hope you guys can hear me. I've been indulging myself in the carbs here and the food here has been quite lovely. I've put on some excess weight, but I'm sure when we're back in routine it's not going to be a problem to cut it all down again. Anyways, the main gist of this video, of course, is to go over just the different pillars and the different learning lessons that have been akin to what it took to get to here. So we'll start off with just an overview of where it began. So 2 years ago, I arrived in Bali thanks to a friend who invited me. If you're watching this video, you know who you are. And within that week that I was meant to stay here, I was searching up how to make money. Prior to this, I spent 7 years within the finance industry and I was trading gold. And gold moves in such a manner that it will push extremely hard and then it will, as we like to say, either stagnate or just build a lot of accumulation, right? Which of course means that since that happens with a lot of months combined and compressed, it takes up a lot of time. And that was just the way that I traded. I really enjoyed swing trading, and those 7 years didn't go to waste. I'm currently up nearly 70% on an ETH position that I took. So, you know, skill sets are going to serve you in the long run. Never feel like what you're learning or doing isn't applicable to you and can't be applicable in the near future. The main thing is that the skill set that you are learning is something that is leverageable for you in a way that, one, you may be able to teach others to help you with your business, or two, that you'll never have taken away from you. Excuse the noise. I don't have a proper microphone. You're just gonna have to deal with it, simply put. So, as I was saying, the main gist and premise was that I came into this industry because I wanted more consistent income. I did extremely well within the finance space, which led to me meeting a ton of different billionaires and conversing with and being in the same table, the same room, and in the same house of individuals that really exceeded the expectations of what the industry and society places on them. People who made massive waves within their industry, sitting down and talking with them and even being on the level of buying their home. I'll go into more detail about that later in terms of what it took to get there and what made me even join this space after that. That is a whole conversation in about itself. But as mentioned, the main modality for this video is being within OF. So I recognized that this was a space I wanted to get into. So within that week I was there, I went very, very hard at trying to find people to talk to. And it just so happened to be, you know how synchronicities work. I was sitting at the gym, there was a sauna that I was in, and there was a really nice glass panel that basically overlooked the recovery area, which was just ice bath, pool, whatnot. And these two girls walked past, and I could hear these guys sitting beside me saying like, who are they? They're extremely hot, yada yada. And one of them whispered, oh, like, these two girls are in OnlyFans. I didn't know what the fuck that was. And so I went home, I searched it up, I was like, OnlyFans, what the hell is this? And yeah, I later found out that you can make a lot of money within the space. The person who I watched the video of, his name was Dean Indigo. He made 10K in his first month. He no longer has a YouTube channel. He did extremely well, so it makes sense for him to quiet down and have less noise and less people attaching themselves to him. So completely respectable. Anyways, I watched his video on how he did it and just documenting that process. I've also been inspired because of that, and I documented a lot of the journey that it took to get here within the last 2 years, which I may publicly push out there just to help inspire those of you who are starting within your journeys right now. And essentially what happened was that I recognized that this was a space that I wanted to get into. So I went hard with Tinder and did all those things to try to get and find models, and I just kept having obstacle after obstacle after obstacle come up, and I recognized that it wasn't smart for me to try to learn all this myself hands-on. It'd be better to work with somebody who has had the hands-on experience. So it just happened to be that the villa I was moving into, that my friend was leaving from, had a agency owner. And so as I was moving into that villa, I proposed to that individual to work for free, and it just so happened to be that he was looking for a business partner at the time. Divine timing, it worked out really well. We're still very good friends, and yeah, that's essentially how I got into the space. I worked alongside him for quite some time, and we basically pushed a lot of the boundaries that were originally set within his agency. I spent a lot of time learning all the foundational elements of the agency space, of all the pillars that come alongside it. So the financial side, the marketing side, and the back-end side, as well as the acquisition side for the models. And after that, I just recognized internally that I wanted to yield my own sword. That is one of my favorite sayings that I've coined and is akin to me. It feels correct at that time, or it felt correct at that time, apologies, to take a step in an independent direction. So I left with an amicable way, there's no issues, and essentially started my own agency. What happened after I started my own agency was I took the, I don't want to say, I have to word this correctly in case they watch the video, but I took a model who was discarded basically by the industry and was very close to quitting. And she was in this industry for quite some time, and I onboarded her. And with the learning lessons I got from networking and really pushing the boundaries of seeing what other successful agencies did, I onboarded her and just tested a bunch of stuff. And I inherently always believed in myself. That's one of the main premises and main things that I've never done before in my life, was question myself and question my ability. Although there may have been hard times, that mental model of being resilient and having tenacity and just continuously going is something that I've kept. I'm not sure where it stems from. It may be an indoctrination from my bloodline. Who knows, something within the DNA. But yeah, I think seeing my family growing up and having a lot of hardship led to this mental model that has served me very, very well. I didn't grow up in a state of abundance in terms of finances, but I did grow up in a state of abundance for love. My parents showed me a bunch of love, which inherently allowed for me to believe in myself and really push the boundaries, hence why I took care of them very well, very early on in my entrepreneurial journey. Anyways, coming down to it, from that space, I took that model and was testing everything. We're doing Instagram first and TikTok and whatnot. And that whole procedure of setting up accounts and whatnot, there's a ton of different videos out there you can watch and learning lessons. I'm not going to go into it. If you have a will, there's a way, right? But I recognize and I also realize the importance of finding the strength of your model and aligning that with the content you're pushing is the most important thing. So having a blueprint in your mind of success for each model and allowing for it to be simple, which therefore creates scalability. That's how you grow as an agency, and that's ultimately how you find success. And is there going to be a time of just constantly testing? Yes. Will you look like an idiot? Potentially, yes. But what it really comes down to is your speed of execution and your speed of reiteration in order to succeed. I had one meeting with a very popular individual within the space who you've all probably known. If you're watching this, his name is Nate Aston. And that meeting was very life-changing for me, to say the least, solely because of the fact that he introduced black hat to me. I never knew what black hat was beforehand, and he introduced breastfeeding as a concept to me. And I started going very hard at that. Everything from face swaps to just using different AI models to pushing as much as I could with that conversation. And essentially what I did was I tried it on different platforms. YouTube ended up succeeding with it, and we became the first agency to push breastfeeding and black hat content onto YouTube, which therefore created basically record levels of success within the sphere and got a lot of attention, which led to me getting proposals from different agencies to join as the CEO. And there was another agency that wanted to collaborate through a friend that was looking to get another pillar of marketing sorted, so I joined them. And this leads to a very, very important point. Coming into that meeting and coming into that relationship, I recognized that there was a high probability I was going to get fucked. But, and I told this to my old business partner, he can vouch on this, but at least I will have the learning lessons of the intricacies of a business that's running at that scale and what it takes. And that's what happened, essentially. So after that partnership that didn't align, I of course left, and I did understand the basic frameworks of what created a successful agency within the space. Took those pillars and frameworks and applied them, and now we're here, right? And there was no cheating, there was no bad intention, none of that. Maybe from their side, I don't know. From everybody's own lens of the world, they want to benefit themselves, of course, so you can take whatever premise you want. I don't view myself as somebody who's bad. If I was, I wouldn't be making this video. I would be running away. Anyways, so the mental model and mental shifts that came alongside that was very interesting for me, and that's what led overall to the creation of success. And it did take a lot of time to get to here. 2 years is quite some time, but that dedicated focus and sacrifice really made it worth it. And if I were to pass along one piece of information that genuinely made a life change for me, it would be coming into a meeting, recognize if you can trust this person. So when you're in a meeting with somebody, of course, understand that you have value and really push yourself within the industry to create value for other people and for your models, and test ruthlessly. But when you're in a meeting with another agency, question and ask yourself, do I trust this person? And never, ever, ever override your intuition. It's not going to work out in your favor if you do. Every time I have, in terms of overriding my intuition and not listening to it, or trying to shortcut success, I've gotten fucked. So the harder, longer way that you don't want to do is going to be the way of success, and there's no shortcut legitimately to getting there. You're gonna have to learn all the pillars of the business, right? In terms of if you want to scale. If you just want to make, for lack of a better term, small money or freedom money, whatever that may be for you, then you can. But if you have higher perspectives of wealth that you're looking to accomplish, and you're looking at this as a stepping stone for cash flow for you to make larger moves within the game of life, then take that as you will and apply that. I'm still in that process, of course. I have higher aspirations that I look to accomplish, and I'm sure this channel will document that. But in terms of those of you who are on your first chapters, that may sound crazy, right? You just want to get to however much money so that you can feed yourself, your family, whatnot. Anyways, so recognizing that there's different pillars within the industry, and each pillar has its own models of success that you have to learn and apply. Through networking, you're going to be able to understand the different pillars and how you're going to network. There's plenty of Telegram groups. You can meet up with people. That's what I did. I just created a bunch of different meetups and ran into various different people, which was very cool. But the most important thing was moving away from an environment that didn't serve me. And you'll hear that from a lot of successful people. If you stay in an old environment, the same mental models that you picked up from there, whether it's through indoctrination or community, what have you, will maintain. But if you have higher levels of envisioning for yourself, then it's always best to step out of that framework so that you can go and create that in your life. And there's not a way of success that'll come from, let's say, meditating and whatnot and trying to manifest success. A lot of it is ruthless and brutal work that comes from the give and take aspect of this world. But there will be a point in time where inner work is very, very important. And a lot of times people will hit a level of success and they will start doing things that ultimately create resistance for making them go to the next level. And you'll see this with models, you'll see this with agency owners, you'll see this within everybody within the space. Even employees have this issue. So recognizing this is super important, and taking and learning the skill sets that it takes to break past these self-limitations is very important. I'll go over basically this in another video, but recognizing that it is a part of the success game and it's one of the many pillars that you have to master, or at least be open to learning, will allow for you to inevitably grow into the position that you desire. Am I a guru? Will I ever sell a course? Do I know everything? No, I'm just a few chapters ahead, and I'm passing this information down to people who may want to know the ropes of what it took to get to here. In terms of the mentality that I highly dislike within the industry, that a lot of people do, and I find highly contagious, for lack of a better word, is this mentality of being like a low consciousness person that jumps from one thing to the next constantly. And a lot of people will do this, you'll see. A lot of people will try to take, and those people never win. They always get fucked. So don't be that person, right? Don't always try to take information from people, try to give. And people who have accomplished things, you'll notice, will want to talk less. They may have a large ego, right, depending on the person, but it's all in good cause because it took a lot of time and a lot of effort and a lot of testing for them to get to that position. So for those of you who are starting, it's very funny because I remember when I was at the gym, I heard somebody who was very new to the industry, who was extremely confident in his approach to the agency space. And overhearing just that conversation of him being 1 month in and being super hard set with what it took to be an agency within the industry and what it took to be successful was very laughable. And not in a way that I pity him, but in a way that I remember being the same. And it is important to have confidence in yourself, but it's also very important to be aware that you are a student in the game and things are constantly changing. And paying for a course or paying for some knowledge from somebody else and trying to shortcut may not be the path. Yes, will it help you in some way, shape, or form by allowing yourself to enter within a community of people who have the same mindset? Correct, that could be really beneficial and life-changing. But I think ultimately the most important changes that'll happen is just from the face-to-face conversations that you get from people. So finding those entrepreneurial spaces and connecting with those people by inherently pushing yourself to ruthlessly grow, you'll consciously attract people who fit that same mentality. And as all these other very successful people talk about, you'll recognize that, hey, maybe this is a good business, that we can start together. Or, hey, this guy is very similar to me, he's very ethical, maybe we will be friends and continuously grow together. That's the main premise. So I know now I'm on a tangent, and a lot of you have probably accomplished the networking side of things and the basic fundamentals that come with going down this path, but it was something that was life-changing for me. A lot of people within the space that I originally looked up to were very hard-headed at not networking and being aware of information, and ultimately it fucked them, right? So you need friends, you need people who take care of you as you do to them, and you need to have the ability to work with people who have that same mindset and connect if there's anything. So don't be a bug, don't be a low vibratory person who just takes. Really spend the time that it takes in order to learn and to get information that you can pass on to others if you need. And there's plenty of videos that go into this, but a lot of the major agencies within this space do collaborate. So that's a shortcut in terms of knowledge that you may not be aware of. There are a lot of major agencies within this space who are doing 8 figures plus, who do collaborate with each other in order to have success. One may focus on acquisition, one may focus on marketing, and one may focus on back end as an example, and they will come together and do exceptionally well because of that. And that's one thing you will recognize, is you can't do it all yourself. You may come from this mental model of being a lone wolf and trying to accomplish things, but there are very few people who can do that well, and ultimately it's not fun doing things yourself. It's always better to have others and a brotherhood that you can surround yourself with in order to lean on, but also push you to accomplish higher levels of success. Anyways, those are the main mental models that I've taken away. This was a very condensed version, although probably like 20-30 minutes of talking for the learning lessons that I had within the industry and space, and just a general overview of what I've learned in the past 2 years and what it took to get to here. There weren't very many specifics because my intention isn't to give you details on the exact things to do. I'm not going to go into that. I really do believe that it takes what it takes in order to grow and to push yourself. So just take the learning lessons from my experience and apply them, and I'm sure you will see the same success as well if you don't give up and you continue to grow. Anyways, I don't have any social media. I will just post this video, and for those of you who enjoy it, make sure to subscribe. Do whatever you want. I probably won't reply to comments as well, so I'm just gonna post this information. Take what you want from it, but yeah, that's pretty much all for now. Take care. Pleasure.